Chapter 16. The Instant Consciousness Doubler. The Instant Consciousness Doubler can help you sidestep many of your addictions. Most of the time, a major expansion of your consciousness requires a lot of continuous inner work, but there is one shortcut through the woods that may be called an instant consciousness doubler. Since consciousness and love are synonymous, you might also consider this an instant love doubler. Here are the directions for making a significant instant expansion of your consciousness. Expand your love, your consciousness, and your loving compassion by experiencing everything that everyone does or says as though you had done or said it. When you use this instant consciousness doubler, you will bring into play a certain programming in your biocomputer that you may not consciously use now in responding to the actions and words of other people. You are usually aware of some of the inside reasons and feelings that account for what you do. But when you perceive similar behavior in another person, you usually interpret it with different programming that you use for experiencing your own thoughts and actions. This leads us into such psychological conjugations as: I am firm, you are obstinate, he is pig-headed. I am frank, you are blunt, he is rude. I enjoy my food, you overeat, he is a glutton. I occasionally correct people for their own good, you are quite argumentative, he has a terrible temper. In all of the above situations, the external actions could have been the same, but the programming that you use to interpret the situation is entirely different. The purpose of the instant consciousness doubler is to remind you to use the same programming in perceiving and interpreting the actions and words of other people that you use in understanding your own actions and words. If you simply delay your response to each situation long enough to run it through the programming you reserve for yourself, you may find that your ability to understand and love other people will instantly double. You may be able to simply bypass the old programming and let it gradually wither away from disuse. You begin to realize that you would probably feel and say the same things that other people are doing and saying if you could just stand in their shoes and see things from their point of view. To use the instant consciousness doubler, you consciously feed the situation in through the programming that you use when crystallizing your perception of your own feelings and actions. In many situations, this can instantly double your perceptiveness and wisdom in responding acceptingly and lovingly to everyone around you. Almost every time you feel irritated or angry, you are simply alienating yourself from another person who is probably doing exactly the same thing that you've done thousands of times, and which you may have accepted fully in yourself. Suppose, for example, you ask someone to do something for you and he replies in an irritated way, "Why don't you do it yourself?" When these words come in through your auditory nerves and are fed into the interpretive sections of your biocomputer, you are very likely to experience a threat to your power center. This is the point at which you use the instant consciousness doubler. You can say to yourself, "There have been many times when I've been annoyed when someone asked me to do something. Perhaps I was busy. Perhaps I felt that they could do it easier and better than I, and they should not be asking me in the first place. Or perhaps I was tired. Perhaps my addictions were at that moment keeping me from loving them enough to want to be helpful. I can furnish myself with dozens of reasons for not wanting to help people when I'm asked to." When you use the instant consciousness doubler, you give other people the benefit of all the inside understanding that you use to forgive yourself when you respond in an alienating way. And so instead of becoming angry when someone refuses to help, you use the instant consciousness doubler to perceive it in a broader perspective that lets you accept it and love the person. This helps to free you from the dualistic programming that is used for perceiving the actions of other people. The instant consciousness doubler helps us realize that there are no others in this world. All of us have shared the same feelings, the same problems of being dominated by our security, sensation and power addictions, and the same needs for love and oneness. When we experience this with here and now awareness, could we feel anything but love and acceptance for all of our brothers and sisters?